morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations, and today is absolutely gorgeous, giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world, in the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing today. If you're a returning subscriber, don't know how many there are, so I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to check, but welcome back to you, or welcome one and all. Happy for you to be here. It's a real pleasure and an honour to have you waste your time listening to this lunatic rant as he walks through the wilds and the woods of Suffolk. So thank you one and all for being here. Now, today, by the title of this video, it's called That's No Moon. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll understand the reference. If you're not, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. But the reason I'm doing this video is, as I've spoken about many times before while I'm doing this channel, the news that we have thrust into our consciousness constantly is a distraction. And a lot of it's bullshit, it's provable bullshit, but I'm going to try and break down some of the nonsense that I see and bring in some of the other things that have been happening in the social media sphere, in the media sphere, political. It's all linked in together, which I'll get to as we go through. So let's get this thing started, okay? Now, I don't know whether you've noticed. Oh, by the way, it's gorgeous here today. Look at the sun, and it is just so beautiful today. It's like 17 degrees. 17 degrees today. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's stunning, and I hope it is as lovely where you are. Now, I don't know whether you've noticed, there is a story in the media at the moment about an asteroid that will become a second moon for Earth for about 2 months. Okay? Now, I'm no astrophysicist, didn't even finish high school. Okay, so let's establish that I know nothing. What was it Plato said? True wisdom comes from knowing that you know nothing. Okay, I'm not trying to claim that I have true wisdom, but when it comes to wisdom and knowledge and wisdom, and I think the best explanation for knowledge and wisdom was from a rugby coach, I think it was, where he said, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom comes from knowing that you shouldn't put it in a fruit salad. I think it's brilliant. But anyway, let's get back to the asteroid. I'm no astrophysicist, definitely not good with numbers. But that said, I think I've got a grasp on how things work. Maybe I don't, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected if I am wrong. Now, we've been told that there's an asteroid that's going to go into orbit around our planet that we live on, and it's going to be in our orbit for 2 months, and then it's going to leave. Okay? All right. So this is the part that I don't understand, and like I say, if you're in that field, like an astrophysicist or a numbers person, or you can explain it to me, happy to hear it. But here's my understanding of it. Okay? Now, Earth's gravitational pull, because of the weight of the planet in the fabric of space in the universe, has a pull, a gravitational pull, of items that are travelling through space, okay? As do all planets and heavenly bodies, okay? Stars, planets. This is from the science that I understand, okay? Now, as asteroids move towards or past Earth, the gravitational pull will change their course. Okay? So let's imagine you've got something flying past Earth, and the gravitational pull isn't quite enough to pull it into the atmosphere where it will burn up and create a shooting star kind of effect in the night sky or in the day sky. But if the gravitational pull isn't, or if it's further away, it might just alter the course and have it going in a different direction. Okay? Now, if this thing is going to be a second moon, as we've been told, it's going to be entering our gravitational pull for 2 months, and then it's going to leave. I want to know how it can escape our gravitational pull. Okay? Now, if you're like me and you've seen plenty of Hollywood movies, and I have. I watched one just recently called Slingshot. Don't know whether you've seen it, but I've watched it just recently. And we've been told by NASA and other space agencies that they use a slingshot effect. So if you want to gain speed, you would use the gravitational pull of a planet or a star or excuse me, choking on some water. The gravitational pull of a planet or a star or a heavenly body, that you go in close enough that you'll be able to use that gravitational pull to speed up, and then you use thrusters on your rocket or whatever spacecraft you're using to break that gravitational pull and use that speed to pull away and use that speed to go somewhere much faster. Okay? Am I wrong so far? I hope not. So I want to understand how an asteroid with no propulsion can enter and orbit our planet for 2 whole months and then escape the gravitational pull to go back out into space again. Maybe it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I honestly. But then if you take it a step further and say, when I spoke with Michael Genest, who was a NASA engineer for 30 years, we spoke on the channel 3 times. If you don't know, if you go back and watch their videos, he was saying that the ISS, which is in space, it's about 400 miles above the surface of the Earth, I think, don't quote me, is kept in place by using thrusters to adjust the height of the ISS above the Earth to keep it in orbit. Because it's not just going to stay in orbit, it has to be constantly adjusted to keep it in the orbit that they want it to go in. Okay? You with me? Okay. So, you've got a rock, size of a bus apparently, where, what we're told is that around our planet, we're surrounded by satellites and space debris. Now, if you've got a large rock the size of a bus that's hurtling towards Earth, it's going to enter into our orbit for 2 months. No one's worried about all the satellites being brought down, the telecommunications being interrupted at all. Oh, but it's further away, Chris, you don't understand. Okay. But the gravitational pull of the planet's not going to pull it closer and maybe disrupt all that communication. Like I say, I'm a simple person who didn't finish high school. So if somebody can explain it to me, I'm more than happy to hear it and I want to understand it. Now, the reason I bring this up today is, like many stories that we hear in the media, murder hornets, all this kind of nonsense, it's all fear porn. It's fear porn. Oh, don't worry if you see something strange in the sky. It's going to be circling our planet for 2 months. Don't worry about if you see it, because it's just an asteroid that's been captured by our gravitational pull. It's going to be in orbit for 2 months, and then it's going to escape and go back off into space again. Okay? Now I've heard some conspiratorial explanations for this, that it's actually a mothership, and it's coming here to reinvigorate some of the technology that's crash landed here at some point in the past. Maybe. Who am I to... I have no idea. But what I do know is that the media uses these kind of things that are happening in the world and has their spin on it to keep people fearful. Milgram experiment. There's been lots of experiments that have been done, psychological experiments, where you have people in fear, and they're more likely to gravitate. I'll use the gravity, thing to keep this going. In the same vein, they're more likely to gravitate towards people in power who say, "Don't worry, we'll fix it for you. We'll take care of you. It's okay. You don't need to worry. Leave it to us." So, this is yet another, as far as I'm concerned, fear porn event to keep people fearful of what could happen. Okay? Now, from my experience of dealing with people who don't think the same way that I do, who don't question anything, who just go along with the narrative and just go, "Oh, well," most people now are switching off the news not because it's they're being lied to, more because it's like, well, and this is the thing I get all the time: if there's nothing you can do about it, won't worry about it, right? just let it go, Chris. Why are you talking about these child raping paedophiles in Hollywood and the music industry and in politics when there's nothing you can do about it? Why bring it up? Just let it go. Just go and watch the Kardashians and find out what they're doing this week, right? So the media is being used as this cudgel to beat everybody over the head with this absolute fucking nonsense. Could be a asteroid, murder hornets, whatever it's going to be. Giant, I love this one I saw the other week. Giant spiders the size of cats are infiltrating the United Kingdom and they're going to be spreading everywhere. It's like, oh my God. It's just horseshit. Horseshit. Now, the way that I see this kind of garbage that takes over all the media, it's like, it was all over the newspapers, it was all over everywhere. This asteroid the size of a bus is going to be circling the Earth. It's going to be a new moon. That's no moon. It's a trap. It's going to be circling the Earth for 2 months. It's a distraction, as is, I would say, probably 99.9% of the media is a distraction. But what are they distracting away from? Okay, so then we get into this next realm of wow. Okay, now I was interacting with someone on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days this morning. I won't mention their name. If that person decides that they're going to watch this, then great. If on the other hand they decide that I'm too far gone, they don't want to interact with me anymore, that's cool as well. Don't mind. Don't give a fuck. I mean, I really, at this point, I've got to that point in my life where probably because of my white privilege, that I don't give a fuck what people think of me anymore. I couldn't give a rat's ass. I really don't care. People watch, people don't watch. People want to abuse me, ignore me, forget about me. You know, I've got wealthy, influential, famous, business-owning friends who I've known for decades. Okay, who are wealthy. They have their own businesses. Who won't talk to me or don't want to interact with me because of the language I use on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now, or the things I keep on bringing out because they're like, oh man, it's just tiresome now. You keep on saying the same things over and over, and I'm like, yeah, you don't care? Oh well, you know, what can I do about it? There's nothing I can do, so I may as well just let it go. Which is how we got to this point where we are in the times that we live in. Because people just went, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about politics, so why bother myself with it? Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about people trafficking. Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about this. Or whatever the thing is that I'm talking about. There's nothing you can do about it, Chris, so just shut up. Yeah, or go and get the thing put inside you, okay? Get that thing injected into you, that experimental thing injected into you. Why fight it, Chris? Just do it. Then you can get on with your life. And I can get on a plane now, Chris. Don't you wish you could go on holiday like I am? Oh, shit. Sorry, must be that new strain. The new strain that I was supposed to be dead from 4 years ago. The new one's coming to get me now. This winter. Oh, no, it was summer. Or was it winter? Autumn? Something's coming to get you. So we got to this point now where... I was interacting with this person on Twitter. Sorry, let's go back a step. About the 17th letter of the alphabet. The same as the temperature here today, which is kind of strange. 17th letter of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, F, E. Work it out. And it's all a cult. It's all a cult. And, you've been fooled into thinking that a saviour's coming to save you. I'm like, okay, did you read the posts? I read some of them, so I know enough. I'm like, okay, well, go and read them all and then make up your own mind. Now, if you haven't seen it, there's a video I did a while ago called Welcome to the Cult, okay? Where I examined what do you think is more likely a cult? People that read posts created by this person, people, entity, who knows, maybe it's AI, who knows? Military intelligence, perhaps, which is the 17th letter of the alphabet that started posting in 2017, 2018, I think it was. The people who believe in that, where those posts were saying, do your own research and decide for yourself what you believe, or the people who watch the media and are told to believe something because we're telling you the truth. Who's more likely in a cult? Right. So, in these 17th letter of the alphabet posts, the alphabet agencies, let's not go down that road. But the 17th letter of the alphabet was saying about was talking about people's names who were implicated in the most heinous of acts that are being perpetrated on the most innocent in our society. Okay? They're being taken advantage of. So in these posts where it was naming people by name and who they're associated with in the posts. Now we see there was a guy called Jeffrey Epstein, who we've spoken about forever and a day, who's now dead. He's not dead. I've said it before and I'll stand by that. Jeffrey Epstein is not dead. Okay? He's not dead. I refuse to believe that he's dead. He's not dead. Okay? Now you've got the latest singer, big star, P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or Sean Diddy Combs or whatever he's calling himself today, because you have to keep on changing your persona to distance yourself from things that may have happened in the past. Okay? But P. Diddy has been arrested. He was on the run for a long, long time. You know, how you could not find a guy with a stardom like he has for months is beyond me. But now he's been arrested and he's in prison awaiting trial. Okay, now the implications of that arrest are profound. Okay, Epstein, no one knows who Epstein was. I mean, now that we do, now we know, and after all these years of everything going on and the exposure of his madam, handler, Mossad agent, whatever we're calling her, Ghislaine Maxwell, jizz everywhere apparently. She was arrested and sent to prison for child trafficking. Okay? Trafficking humans to the island that we're not allowed to know who went to the island. Okay? But no one knows who Ghislaine Maxwell, unless you're running those kind of circles. The average person wouldn't know who Ghislaine Maxwell was or Epstein, because they're not in the public sphere. Okay? They're known in those kind of circles, but not in the circles that we run in, and the Kardashians. So they're not known household names. Well, now they are, but only because of what's happened and the arrests and the outing through platforms like this. No, I'm not saying me, because I'm a tiny little channel. But the reason I started doing this is lots of tiny channels can add up to a big impact on people's psyche, because if lots of people are spreading the word and talking about it, eventually something will break through to the main populace. Okay? Now, my wife, she went through an awakening process where she was hook, line and sinker into the belief system of the medical industry, the media. When we met, we never really discussed these kind of things until we decided we were going to have children, and then the subject of the things that they stick into children the moment they're born came up, and I said, my children will never have a single one. Not one. Ever. So that sent her down a rabbit hole of trying to explain to me that I was wrong, and going and doing her own research, and she came back eventually and found that what I was saying was correct, that there's no benefit. In fact, there's only harm that comes from it, as has been said by RFK Jr., as he's been touring to endorse Trump. Okay? Like him or hate him, doesn't matter. What's the alternative? I'm a black woman. I'm East Indian or West Indian. Like the change and cackling in between each one. Definitely a person that I'd vote for. So my wife went through this awakening process, and it was tough for her. But as she went through that awakening process, she was introduced to the information, and the things that I was introducing her to, the things that triggered me to understand things better, didn't have the same impact on her. Okay? I've read every self-help book you can, self-help, that other people have written, self-help. I've read all these books, you know, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, you know, the Divine Matrix by Greg Braden. What else we got? Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. All these kind of things. I've read them all. Took a lot from them. Some had a deeper impact on me than others did, because of everyone comes at the same subject from a different angle. And while one person or one author or one book or one movie or whatever it is, one source of information might not have the same impact, another one will. Even though it's essentially saying the same thing, one person's way of putting something has that way of going, now I understand. Okay? So by seeing that firsthand, I understand now that some people have a way of putting things that is going to get through to some people, and other people have a different way of putting things that are going to get through to other people. But ultimately, we're all trying to do the same thing, is to have people question the reality that we're presented with, so that we can have, as a society, as a human race, whether you're black, green, yellow, I don't care the colour of you, I don't care where you're from. My only care is that we are questioning what we're being told, so that we don't keep on repeating the same mistakes that we have that's led us to this point, where it's like, oh, well, I just want to switch off because the politics doesn't do, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. Okay? So my role in this, as a channel that's maybe 400 people will watch this video, I'm blessed that every single one of you do, and the feedback I get, but my impact is small, but we all have an impact on the greater consciousness through what we're trying to do. Okay? Now, back to the story. This P. Diddy Combs has really blown up, okay? Because everyone knows who this guy is, P. Diddy. I mean, you know, Puff Daddy or whatever he's calling himself this week. Everyone knows who that is. And when you have serious child trafficking allegations that have been leveled against this guy, and it's been widely reported for decades that P. Diddy's freak-off parties, I think they're called freak-off parties, were debauched, to say the least, and drug-fueled orgies with celebrities and minors. There was part of the entrapment process, and he filmed everything. All the rooms were cameras everywhere, and it was all a honeypot scheme, the same as Epstein, the same as the Playboy Mansion, Hugh Hefner. All of them do the same thing. It's all about honeypotting, putting people in compromised positions to control them, to control what they say, who they're going to endorse as a candidate. Ben Stiller, you know, and although the other people endorsing this completely nutcase woman, are they honeypotted? I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating. It's all alleged. What do I know? It's my thoughts and opinions. I'm a crazy person, remember? So whatever I say doesn't mean anything, right? But you've got this guy, P. Diddy, who's had these parties where he's accused and charged with child trafficking, the same as Ghislaine, the same as Epstein, and there'll be many more. There'll be many more that's implicated. J-Lo has even been implicated in this whole thing, that she knew what was going on, and many others. Much like the Me Too movement, where we had a bunch of Hollywood starlets and stars, in the case of Terry Crews, massive, I've spoken about him before, massive guy, huge muscles, ex-NFL player who was sexually abused as well in order for him to get into the movies. I mean, honestly, it gets crazy by the second. But all these people, prostitutes, all these people like who came out and said, oh, I had to do this to get into the movies, I had to do that to get into the movies. Like, it's deplorable. It is. It's vile, and the people who are perpetrating this on these people are the most lowest form of scum on the earth. But everyone knows about the Hollywood casting couch. I even know that. I've been to Hollywood. I was supposed to meet with a producer for a movie I wrote. And I knew that outside the industry. I knew what it was like. My wife even said to me, if you ever get your movie made, I'm leaving you because I know what you'll do to get it. Right? So if you know as an outsider what the industry's like, people who are inside the industry who know, but they no choose, they sell their soul in order to get where they want to go. Now, I'm fortunate that I never did. I had good people around me who were trying to steer me away from that kind of, my life has been debauched anyway, but not to the point where I would harm a child, an animal, or someone unwilling to be in any kind of, how can I put this, relationship with me. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to force anyone, never force myself on anyone, but it's consensual. Okay, not drugging people so that they're unconscious and then taking advantage of them. Okay, so these people are doing this, and everyone knew about it, but then they want to come out and complain about it later. Oh, I made 20 million in a movie for the last 15 years, but now I want to complain about it because I want to jump on the bandwagon of saying, oh, the industry's bad. You never said anything before because you wanted the money, you wanted the fame, you wanted the power, you wanted the influence. Oh, I've got 50 million people following me on Twitter because I've done movies that, I had to do things sexually for, but now I'm going to complain about it. Double standard, hypocrisy. So with this arrest of this person, let's call him a person for now, until the charges are proven, of course, innocent until proven guilty, right? Until we get to that point where you have a trial where they get to defend themselves, it's an accusation, and the accusation has to stand as exactly that, as an accusation, until such point as they've been tried. Fair? Okay. But this is the people that are implicated in this scheme, this honeypot scheme that has overtaken Hollywood and is now all over the news. The things that are coming out in the media, why are they coming out now? Look over there, the squirrel effect. Squirrel, look there, don't look here. So when I see stories like, we've got a second moon's going to be with us for the next 2 months, it makes me go, all right, so what are we not hearing about in the media because we're hearing about a second moon that's going to be entering our atmosphere for the next 2 months? This is the way the media works, and it's all about distraction, deception, and look over there, not here. Much like what's happening with the financial system. Now, if you I talk about this kind of stuff a lot because it's of interest to me. I'm involved, and I've said it, I don't make any secret of it, that I'm involved in crypto and digital money, much like this. And the reason I am is because we live in an increasingly digital society, whether we like it or not. We transact digitally when we do digital payments at the supermarket, when we buy things online. It's a digital transaction using a digital version of the fiat currency that we use on a daily basis. Now you can say, no, it's different because cash is king. Okay, so do you pay for everything with cash? Of course you don't. Nobody does. Most people will do digital transactions. We're buying on Amazon or online somewhere. You're doing a digital transaction with your card, which is digital money. It's a digital version of your money. Okay? Now, I don't know whether I've told you this story, but I'll tell you, it's only a quick one. I wanted to buy something from America. It was shares in a company. I wanted to do it. Was on the phone to my bank that I've banked with for 25 years now, Barclays, who, by the way, is head of Barclays, CEO of Barclays, had to stand down because of his ties to Epstein. And when we're talking banking giants that are linked to Epstein, JP Morgan banked Jeffrey Epstein even after they knew he was a paedophile and after he was convicted of being a paedophile and a people trafficker. Okay, so JP Morgan, head of Barclays, involved in this industry. You can try and absolve them of it, but it was just the head of Barclays had to stand down. But anyway, I banked with Barclays for 25 years. I was on the phone to them. I said to the lady, do you see the money in my account? Yes. All right, I want to transfer it from this account, from my account, over to this account so I can purchase these shares. She said, I can't do it. It's going to take a week and it's going to cost you about $100. So I went, okay, fine. Hung up the phone, got my digital wallet out and paid through the internet. It took me 3 minutes and it cost me nothing. So people want to complain, oh, digital money, it's not real, Chris, it's all controlled. it is anyway, whether you like it or not. Oh, but cash is king and it's anonymity. Yes, I understand that. But unless you're buying everything with cash, which you can't, yeah, and I do believe that we need cash. I do. But digital money is happening whether you like it or not. So if you, like me, invest in a digital currency that you think is outside of the better protocol for, and has a better direction and a better governance system, invest your money in that one, and that's going to be the more dominant one. Okay, everyone's like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ethereum, if you've ever used Ethereum, the gas fees are ridiculous. Bitcoin is slow and expensive. Solana, everyone's, Solana's the new one. 75% of the transactions on the network fail. It's the ones that they're promoting all over the television, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again and again and again and again and again. Anything that the media is telling you is to have you think a certain way that they want you to think. The venture capitalists, the VCs of this world, are also involved in funding people who do terrible things, and human trafficking and DNA experiments, all those kind of things. The venture capitalists have bought into it early, or they got the tokens for free. Now they're pumping the shit out of it on things like CNBC so that they get their money back from the project that they got for free, or next to nothing. Okay? Understand that? Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's all you hear about on the television, the media. Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Okay? Don't trust me. I'm a crazy person. Okay? Let's get back to the story. You've got a bunch of things like, did you hear about Japan? The economy in Japan just about went down the toilet. Okay? The bond market over there is in trouble. Now, I've spoken about the bonds before. I'll give you a brief explanation. Bonds and the bonds and the yield curves. Now, not a banker, not an economist. Didn't go to university, remember? Didn't finish high school. The government and the central bank doesn't, and I'll repeat this, does not decide the interest rate. Okay? And I'll explain why. Oh yes, we're going to lower the interest rate by 0.5%, says the Fed the other day. Okay? Now why? How do you think that came to be? How do you think that they get to say, we're going to lower the interest rate by 5%, 0.5%. Sorry, did it by 5%, I didn't go crazy. But why do you think that they had the ability to lower the interest rate, or the need to lower the interest rate by 0.5%? Obviously, the economy's in free fall. But the simplest way I can put this is to say, the way that it all works is the Treasury releases what's called a bond, which is it's backed by the US government or the government of the country that you live in. Okay, so the Treasury releases a bond. The central bank of the currency of the country, then the Treasury holds an auction to sell those bonds. Now, if the people buying the bonds, like usually other countries, trusts that country to repay that money, then they'll buy the bonds. Now, if they can't sell the bonds, they have to put up the interest rate, the interest rate that people will get for holding those bonds in order to sell them. Okay, so if I say, okay, I'm going to sell this 10-year Treasury bond, okay, the 10-year Treasury bond, that means you have to hold it for 10 years, and we'll give you 2% for holding it for 10 years, 2% a year, okay? No one wants them, because especially the American government, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do with the money? We're going to go and buy weapons of war. We're going to give it to Raytheon or Boeing or one of these advanced weapons research companies to go and purchase more weapons for more war. And they want to perpetrate more war. We're going to give more arms to Israel. We're going to give more arms to Ukraine. We're going to, wherever there's a war zone in the world, or if there's not one, we'll create one to prop up these huge companies. Now, if the people who are going to buy these bonds say, not interested, thanks. No. So what do? They go, okay, then rather than a 2%, we'll give you 3%. Now people are like, still not quite right though. Going to need some more to buy that bond because I really don't trust you. And the way that the American economy is at the moment, they're all the same. So I'm not just picking on America, they're all shit, okay? How does the economy go? We'll get back to that in a second. But the the rate of interest that they will pay for holding that bond has to be higher if no one's interested in it. Okay, and when when the things are usually failing, the flight to safety has always been bonds, because it's backed by the government. Okay. Now, if you've got an out of control government with out of control spending and wars and where's money going to go? Where money's always moving from point A to point B. Where's the money going to go? Gold, silver, tangible things that people go, okay. I think against the rapidly inflating currency, that currency will flood into assets. So people will think property is an asset, so the property prices will go up the higher inflation goes, right? But assets like gold and silver, it will take more of those pounds or dollars or whatever currency you're in to buy that same asset, so the value of them will go up against the currency. You with me? Now, so if you see that the bonds, the percentage interest rate that is payable on the bonds is what controls the interest rate of the economy. You with me? Because banks, their requirement is that they, up until a while ago, they had to have a 10% reserve. So 10% of all deposits that were deposited into banks, into normal high street banks, they had to have 10% on hand at any one point so that people could get their cash should they want it. But if you put your money into the bank, it's no longer yours, it's theirs. You're loaning it to them. So if the bank goes shit, tits up, well, you loan them the money, they invested it into whatever they invested in. Usually it's a risky investment because they're paying you no interest on your money going into their accounts, but they're making a huge amount because they're making risky bets in the stock market that's all controlled by a few companies. Most of the stock market's owned by BlackRock, Vanguard and State Street. 88% ownership, I think, those three companies, who all own each other, by the way. Big love fest. It must have all got together at a P. Diddy party. Maybe at Epstein's Island. Who knows? So the interest rate is not decided by the Fed. It's decided by the bond market, where they can sell bonds at. Okay? Now, I've heard this many times from economists, and like I say, I look at all this information, who are saying, "Oh yes, but the US dollar is strong." It's like saying, "Well, ours is the shittiest of all. Ours is the less shitty of all the shitty currencies out there, so it's the best one. 35 trillion in debt." Okay, no, I believe you. I do. So the bond market sets the interest rate. Okay. Now, the economy is built on GDP, which is our labour. Okay. So people starting businesses, and the tax revenue that is generated through the economy is reflected in how well the country's doing. Okay, so if you have unemployment's going up, businesses going out of business, the high streets, all the shops are closing and being boarded up, you got crackheads all over the street overdosing, taking fentanyl. How do you think the economy of your country is going to do? I would assume not so good. Okay, the whole world is going down the toilet. Now, if we go back to, I've spoken about this before, the evil empire of the British, who wanted to colonize the world. Now, I've taken a lot of flack for this as well. The British went and took over a lot of the world, much like the Romans did, much like the Genghis Khan did. It's like everyone's had that crack. The Turkish did it, or not the Turkish, the Ottoman Empire. All these empires came and went. They spread out so far. The America is the latest empire that spread out all across the world, and all these empires eventually fell through. Being too if the supply routes were broken, right? Now, the British wanted to control the silver market because the British pound sterling, when the British pound was the world reserve currency before the American dollar, they wanted to control the silver market because it was based on the sterling silver, which is why it was called the pound sterling. So they shipped into China opium. Now, the only way you could buy the opium was with silver, so they extracted all the silver out of China through the opium, and then the Chinese government banned drugs and killed the drug traffickers who were trafficking these drugs into China because it was destroying their economy. Now we see the exact opposite happening, where you have this drug called fentanyl that's being shipped into America over the open border, and it is an open border. If you can have people walk over your border with no identification and into your country, and then you're going and putting them all over the country into control the voting. Did I just say that out loud? Control the how boats are cast, because if you come over with no identification, then you can get a driver's license for the area that you've been shipped to, which means that you now have identification, which now means you can vote. But definitely not election rigging. That's not the case here. Okay. So what's happening now with all this fentanyl coming into America? I mean, look at the state of the place. I mean, my friend Vince, who's got his own channel, has spoken about this before, and he's done videos of just like the cities in the US that are just absolutely falling apart. It's not just the US. I was recently in London for the weekend, and we saw exactly the same thing. Homelessness everywhere. Park Lane, which is exclusive. If you've ever played Monopoly, you've got Mayfair and Park Lane are the two of the most expensive properties on the board. Park Lane, I mean, this place is central London, right next to Hyde Park. The median between, you've got 2 3-lane roads right next to the park. 2 of those. On the median grass strip between is covered with a homeless encampment. That is just the shit everywhere. Drug addicts and people from other places that have been brought over the border in rubber dinghies that have been facilitated by both French naval authorities and the British naval authorities into this country, into every country. It's not just this country, it's everywhere. From other countries to bring in predominantly military age males, and they're being housed in hotels. Now, if you've got if your economy's failing and the hoteliers have empty rooms, what are you going to do with them? We're saving the economy by putting up people that have illegally crossed the border. All of this is going on right in front of your face. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it, Chris. I may as well just shut up. Meanwhile, big story. Look over here. P. Diddy. Look over there. Don't look at the failing economy. Don't look at your high street where the shops are closing down. Don't look at all the homeless people dying on the street there of drug overdoses from illegal drugs being brought in, fentanyl from China. So that you can see that the world economies are breaking down very quickly. The BRICS currencies are trying to oust the American currency as the world reserve currency. But meanwhile, we've got a second moon, or murder hornets, or P. Diddy, or some other distraction. Okay? What's happening in the world right now is, and I'm taking part in it, you're taking part in it, we're all taking part in this, whether we like it or not, is we are sharing information, or we're speaking about information that realistically, as people say, there's nothing you can do about it, Chris. Right? As an individual, there's nothing I can do about it. Right? Except talk about it and try and educate other people about what's going on. Because if you're not sharing a message, just like those Hollywood actresses that went, well, you know what, I'm making 20 million a movie and I'm doing okay. Don't get me wrong. It must be my white privilege that allows me to do okay. It's not my work ethic and the amount that I'm willing to do to make sure that my family is taken care of, and helping other people to also get ahead, and sharing, what I understand is how the world works. Like I say, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. Don't mind. Think whatever you want. Argue your case. Tell me how I'm wrong and explain it to me. I'm more than willing to listen. And if I am wrong, I'll come on here and I'll apologize and say, you know what? I fucked up. Do it. But we're going through this awakening process of understanding what the world is and how we've been programmed into a certain thinking way. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, I heard a story a while ago of, well, I'm just one person. What can I do about it? And I think it was I can't think who it was now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And they said, okay, if you have that thinking that you're thinking, well, I'm only one person. I'm just one little person. Who am I to go up against these giant corporations that run the world? or these politicians, or whatever it is, media empire. Who am I to stand up to that, right? But you think, because I'm little, I'm no one in the whole scheme of things. Who am I to stand against this machine? But if you're in a room and you're trying to sleep and there's a mosquito buzzing by your head, look how think the size of that mosquito to you, and you try and kill it. There's nothing you can do about it. But that mosquito won't let you sleep because it just keeps on. It becomes a pain in the ass. Well, depending on how much of your body's exposed, I suppose. But it's that mosquito gets to the point where it is so distracting that you can't sleep. That's going to ruin your day because of the way that it's doing what it's doing. And it's annoying you. So, with what I'm doing and with you watching or sharing information or doing what you're doing, which is what I say at the end of all the videos, it is a distraction to what they're doing, and it is people are looking away from the mainstream media, and when they don't understand things, even though they might disagree with most of what I say, and these wealthy, influential people that I know that won't associate with me anymore because of the way I'm doing things, because of the way I'm saying things, I understand their perspective, but you can only run from it for so long, and that success that you have that's based on you just ignoring the problems that face us, or the people perpetrating those issues, will only last for so long. And you'll be caught on the wrong side of history because you're focused on one thing, which is your money, your success, or your fame, or your fortune, whatever it is, your business. You'll be caught on the wrong side of history. And for me, it's more important that I stand for what I believe. It's a principle thing, and believe me, I've betrayed my principles more than once. I'm far from a perfect being. I am imperfect in every way. I've done everything wrong in my life, and I've got most of my life wrong, which is why I'm trying the best I can to change how I do things and what I say and how I do things, because I don't want to keep on being that person. Make sense? Okay, so everything that's going on allows people the opportunity to make a decision for themselves and what they're going to do going forward. So this is where we are right now. It is, where do you stand? When I've said to people this is a spiritual war that's going on, it's really between good and evil, you get to decide which side of that fence you stand on by how you approach it, what you do, what you share, how you speak. All these kind of things have an influence on how the world works. And if you think you're nothing, think of that mosquito. If you've ever tried to sleep with a mosquito in your room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the point I'm trying to get at, I suppose, in this video is the second moon, or murder hornets, or P. Diddy, or the 17th letter of the alphabet being a complete cult, is that without going and actually doing your own research and investigating and understanding from a different perspective what's going on, you'll never know. So you're basing your opinion or your idea or your mindset or your philosophy on a mindset that's coming from where? From the media, who've been proven to be lying to you all the time, or or you're just going, okay, well maybe what they're telling me isn't true, but there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to walk away, or I'm going to ignore it and go back and watch the Kardashians. This is where we are. This is the decision we have to make. And we're going to be distracted. We're going to realise that the people who have been running the show and who've been telling us all this stuff are involved in the most heinous acts, or we're just going to ignore that as well and go, well, there's nothing I can do about it, walk away. So it's time to decide where you stand and what you want to stand for, and how you see the events that are being brought to light in the mainstream media, in social media, in politics, in the entire spectrum of all the information that's brought to us. How you perceive it, because that perception becomes your reality, right? So much like the double slit experiment, or the Schrodinger's cat, where the person observing has an influence over the result. So we as observers, our influence as observers has an influence on the result of the experiment, or whatever we're calling it, this reality that we're living in. So if your observation is tainted by a viewpoint that is proven to be manipulative and teaches you don't need to question the science is settled, that kind of thing. If your viewpoint is tainted by that, then what do you bring into the world? What is your I've coined the phrase a long time ago called the gravity of belief. So the reality is created by the reality that we experience as a group collective is experienced because the majority believe that what they're being told is true. Much like the whole COVID narrative. It was all bullshit. The whole thing was bullshit. Oh, it came from a bat in a wet market. And I still, to this day, speak to people who believe it. Who believe, oh yeah, it came from a bat in a wet market. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was just that, Chris. And you can't, anything else is just a conspiracy theory. I'm a doctor, Chris. I know. Okay. You didn't even finish high school, Chris. It always comes back to the same argument. You're not educated, Chris. You don't know. I'm like, all right. Whatever. Think whatever you want to think. Go and get a booster. Just do the world a favour. Now, all that said, it is how what I'm doing and what all the other people doing their channels and the influencers, or what everyone's trying to do is to have a mass awakening for people to try and influence people to think a different way. Now, I'm not asking you to believe what I believe. I'm not asking you to believe anything that I say. I'm asking you to go and question what you believe and where that information came from. Because if you're not willing to question it, then you're going along with somebody else's belief system. Whether it's P. Diddy or Jeffrey Epstein or the bankers or whoever's telling you the information that you're listening to, they have an agenda. I don't have one. My agenda is to share information and then get you to decide whatever you think. Don't care. It doesn't influence me one way or the other. It's unless of course I'm being proven wrong time and time again, and all my information is public. I've never taken down a video. It's all public. It's all there. It's all on YouTube until they take my channel down, I suppose. It's all there, and I'm unapologetic. If I get something wrong, I will apologise. But so far, my track record's pretty good. It's up for you to decide. So, all that said, go out into the world, do good and be good, however you perceive that to be. If you want to go and swear at people and call them fucking morons, and you think that's the best way to go, sometimes that's the way I think. Sometimes that has to be done, and that's what I do. People don't like it, I understand, but that's how I do things. Other people do it a different way. Peace and love and, namaste. That's how they do things, whatever it takes. But go out into the world, do good, be good, and you can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you act, the information that you share to influence how people think and question the information you're brought up with. So, thank you one and all for joining me. It's a blessing and an honour to have so many people take a walk with me in the forest. This is my escapism where I come out here and talk to myself. And I appreciate everyone who joins me and who feeds back to me and says, you know what, you're a crazy bastard, but it's fun anyway. That's cool. So thank you one and all for joining me. And most important of all, look after yourself, look after each other, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Ciao for now.